4%. That's the number retirement math quietly changes direction. Here's the strange part. Your brain hears 4% and files it under rule. Guarantee, mathematical certainty. And it's not your fault. Your brain has been trained on the 4% rule the way a child memorizes times tables. Repeat it enough, and it calcifies into fact, not observation. In 1994, financial advisor William Bengen published a paper that changed retirement planning forever. His finding, a portfolio of 50% stocks and 50% bonds could support a 4% withdrawal rate, adjusted annually for inflation, and survive any 30-year retirement window in U.S. history. It was brilliant research. It was also the single most misunderstood number in personal finance, because your brain wasn't built to process what 4% actually is. Here's the brain problem. Your brain treats rules as absolutes. It craves certainty in exactly the place it doesn't exist. 4% is not a rule. It was never a rule. It is a historical observation, a statistical artifact of one specific country, one specific asset mix, and one specific time window. All Bengen was saying, carefully and with caveats, was this. Historically, 4% worked. He was not saying it will work for you. He was not saying it's safe. He was saying it survived the worst 30-year window on record, and that window began in October 1968. Right before the 1969-70 bear market, the 1973 oil shock, and the grinding stagflation of the 1970s. I read the boring filings and census data so you don't have to. And what I found when I ran the numbers myself is that the 4% rule has 3 hidden layers most people never see. Layer 1, what the rule actually costs you in anxiety. Layer 2, what it costs you in real withdrawn dollars you never spend. And Layer 3, the part that should genuinely bother you, what happens when you apply it without understanding why Bengen built it in the first place. Let me walk you through each one. Layer 1, the anxiety cost. Morningstar's 2025 State of Retirement Income Report found something that should stop you cold. The average retiree withdraws less than the 4% rule allows, and they still worry. Not about running out for 1 year, about running out over 30. The 4% rule tells you a number is safe. Your brain reads safe, and what it actually hears is guaranteed. The gap between historically survived and guaranteed is where retirement anxiety lives. Here's the strange part. The rule was designed to survive the single worst retirement start in modern U.S. history. The 1968 retiree walked into a bear market, then inflation that peaked at 13.5% in 1980, then a bond market that got slaughtered. That retiree made it 30 years on 4% withdrawals. If you retired in August of 1982 instead, one of the greatest buying opportunities in stock market history, you could have withdrawn 8% and never come close to running out. Same rule, same math, radically different answers. And nowhere in the rule does it tell you which retiree you're going to be. Now, here's where things get dangerous. Because the brain doesn't stop at anxiety, it escalates. Layer 2, the oversaving cost. Bengen's framework was built around one question. What withdrawal rate eliminates the possibility of running out of money? Answering that question produced 4%. The brain then takes 4% and does something the math never asked it to do. It converts safe into the amount you should withdraw. Those are not the same thing. One is a ceiling, the other is a withdrawal strategy. And mistaking a ceiling for a strategy has a specific dollar cost. Margaret is 62. She retires with $380,000 in her 401k. She's read about the 4% rule. She takes out $1,200 a year. Adjusted for inflation, that's what she withdraws every single year for 29 years. She dies at 91. Her portfolio? $1.1 million. Margaret didn't run out of money. Margaret died with 2.9 times what she retired with. And here's the question the 4% rule never answers. What was that $1.1 million for? That's the hidden cost. Bengen built his framework to prevent one specific failure, running out in 30 years. He did not build it to tell you how much to spend. And when you use a survival floor as a spending strategy, you spend your retirement underspending. A lot. The data bears this out. Blanchett and Finke, in their 2025 Financial Planning Review paper, analyzed actual retiree spending patterns and found that most retirees, across wealth levels, underspend by a wide margin. Not because they're disciplined, because they're scared. The 4% rule gave them a number. Their brains turned it into a commandment. But here's the kicker. The third layer is the one that should genuinely bother you. Nobody runs a 4% withdrawal strategy in the real world the way Bengen modeled it. In his paper, the retiree starts at 4%, then increases withdrawals by exactly the inflation rate every year for 30 years. No exceptions. Not most years, not unless the market is down. Every year. The math demands it. Robert and Susan both retire at 65 with $1 million. Robert follows the 4% rule mechanically. 4%, inflation adjusted every year, no matter what. The disciplined thing. The by-the-book thing. Susan does something different. When the market is down more than 10% in a given year, she skips her inflation adjustment. Just that one change. Robert's portfolio is empty by 87. Susan dies at 93 with $1.4 million. The difference isn't math, it's behavioral. Robert followed the rule because his brain told him rules are safe. Susan understood that the rule is a starting point, not a destination, and that the real skill isn't calculating 4%. It's knowing when not to take it. Which brings me to the part that never makes it into a retirement calculator, the behavioral layer. Most financial mistakes aren't math problems. They're brain problems. And the 4% rule is the ultimate brain problem disguised as a math problem. Here's the framing that should change how you think about this. The 4% rule is not a withdrawal strategy. It is a reality check. It tells you this. At a given portfolio size, 4% is the ceiling beneath which historically, over 30 years, you would not have run out of money. That's it. That's the whole thing. It does not tell you what to withdraw. It does not tell you how to live. It does not tell you how much of your portfolio you should actually spend. It tells you one piece of data about one historical sequence, and your brain takes that data and elevates it to a life rule. Now here's where we go next. If 4% is a ceiling, not a strategy, what does an actual withdrawal strategy look like? There is a framework that does what the 4% rule cannot. It adjusts to what's actually happening. In 2006, Jonathan Guyton and William Klinger published a paper in the Journal of Financial Planning that introduced what are now called guardrails. The idea is simple. You set an upper and lower withdrawal limit based on portfolio performance. When the market is up, you take more. When it's down, you take less. The guardrails prevent both outcomes. You don't run out, but you also don't die with $1 million you should have spent on your life. Here's how it works in practice. You retire with a starting withdrawal rate of, say, 4.5%. Each year you check your withdrawal rate against your portfolio's current value. If your withdrawal rate drops below 3.5%, meaning your portfolio has grown and your spending hasn't kept up, you increase your withdrawal by 10%. If your rate rises above 5.5%, meaning your portfolio has shrunk, you decrease by 10%. That's it. Two numbers, one annual check. Daniel is 42 with $280,000. He's not retired yet, but he's building the framework now. Marco is 44 with $800,000. Same thing. Both of them run guardrail math against their future retirement date. Daniel's projected retirement spending, $38,000 a year, lands at 4.2% of his projected portfolio. Marco's lands at 4.7%. Both are inside the guardrail window. Both have room to adjust. Neither is relying on a fixed 4%. The brain loves the 4% rule because it's simple. One number, one answer, no thinking required. The guardrail framework requires annual attention. It requires noticing. It requires the one thing that scares people most about retirement, admitting the numbers might change. And that's the real test underneath all of this. The 4% rule is comfortable. Guardrails are honest. One tells you what you want to hear, a fixed number, a guarantee, a finish line. The other tells you what you need to hear, that retirement is a living process, not a solved equation. I find the design of this trap genuinely dark. The moment in your life when you have the most money you've ever had, and therefore the most to lose, is also the exact moment you're told there's a simple rule that makes it safe. Beautiful in the worst way. Here's the reframe I want to leave you with. The 4% rule did not fail. It did exactly what Bengen built it to do. It gave us a historical survival floor. The failure is what we did with it. We took an observation about the past and turned it into a guarantee about the future. We took a ceiling and called it a strategy. And then we wondered why we were anxious. The number isn't the problem. The brain that treated it as certainty is. The hidden retirement rule built more fortune than crypto memes. Subscribe because the tax decisions that kick in at the withdrawal stage are next. And that one changes everything about which account you pull from first.